Okay, so you guys know what'll suck? And not just like the regular kind of suck, but the kind of suck that you can't get on this world. The kind of suck that only happens in an atmosphere. A suck so bad it would take an alien human hybrid and rip it through a hole about yay big. Kind of suck. Imagine, if you will, playing the lottery every day for 20 years. And every day or every week, you use the exact same numbers. And you lose. You never win. And finally, at one point, you say to yourself, the lottery thing is great and it's exciting and everything, but there's a life I can be living. I could be eating out more with friends. I could be, saving my money for retirement. I could be buying things that I'm going to actually use there and then, like a good game or maybe a fun movie or so and so. And so one day you decide, I'm not going to play it anymore. Screw the lottery. It's a long shot and I'm just not going to win. So, you don't play it and you're kind of like tapping your fingers on the table while it's being announced. And the day after you decide, just for shits and giggles, and whoever giggles while they shit, that's a weird phrase. You decide you're going to check out the lottery and see what the number was. And you find out, of course, it's your number. That's kind of how I feel with this chapter, One Piece chapter 19. Because I keep thinking every single chapter is going to be a flashback. Every chapter. I don't know why, but I just get the feeling that we're going to get a lot of flashbacks. Somebody told me there's a lot of flashbacks, so I'm always like, this is going to be a flashback. This is going to be a flashback. And I keep saying it's going to be a flashback. And last time I said, well, you know what? I was wrong, so this one's not going to be a flashback. And of course, this was a flashback. Okay, false. One Piece chapter 19, Devil Fruits, is not entirely a flashback. When it starts off, we see Luffy and Buggy having a quick little conversation because Luffy's just mad about his cap. And he's telling, Buggy, don't mess with my cap. And it gets, that goes on for a bit, and then it gets on to how Buggy didn't like Shanks and how he'll never forgive him for taking his treasure, and Luffy doesn't want Buggy saying they were comrades and comparing the two. Oh, it also takes a break so we can go back to look at the villagers who were talking, and the bald one's like, I'm going to go check what's going to happen, and then the rest of them are like, well, we're going to go with you, and he's like, no, don't go with me, and they're like, well, this is volunteer work. We're going as volunteers. You can't stop us. You can stop a volunteer. If you don't believe me, say you're going to volunteer at school and just go and try to mop at the school. They'll kick you out, and for good reason, so you can stop volunteers. Just want to let you know that's bullshit. And so, back to Buggy and Luffy. After saying, I can talk to him however I want because I won't forgive him, we learn that they were, in fact, crew members. And it starts off with them arguing over which is colder, the North or the South Pole. And then there's a fight because they're going to board another village, another ship. So they board and they have a fight, and of course they win. And during the fight, or after the scuttle, I guess Buggy and Shanks did help because they both had their weapons ready. Buggy finds a treasure map that shows some buried treasure underwater. And while they're celebrating, Shanks goes to talk to Buggy, and Buggy hides the map, and Shanks informs him that they got a devil fruit. But that gives an ability, but you can't swim anymore. And so Buggy, being, a greedy little bastard that just wants treasure, classic pirate, he says that he's going to eat the fruit because Shanks tells him that the captain's going to let anybody who wants the fruit just go ahead and eat it. So everybody gathers and Buggy eats it, and they're like, oh, well, what's going on? After he ate it and nothing happened. So like, well, it's an old story. So it's probably just fiction. And turns out that Buggy actually spent all night making a replica fruit. Well, we find this out while Buggy's talking about his plan, which is he wants to sell the fruit so this way he can buy some boats and hire some men so he can go around taking treasure from everybody. And while he's thinking about this, Shanks shows up and he says, hey Buggy, and Buggy freaks out, so he puts the fruit in his mouth. And then it looks like Shanks is gonna leave. Well, after he tells him that don't steal so much food because the cook's gonna get mad again. And so Buggy kind of like, he relaxes a little, and then Shanks comes back to tell him something the captain said. And Buggy, whoop, he just swallows this like pineapple-sized fruit, and it's just one go, which Amazing. The anatomy of these characters is, even without devil fruits, is amazing. You know how hard it is to swallow something, and I'm not just talking about like adult videos swallowing. I mean, maybe I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. You ever try eating an apple and then you're just kind of like moving all the pieces to one side of your cheek, and then you realize that you have so much apple on one side of your cheek that you can't swallow it all, so you panic and you try to swallow, and it's like this big, it tops this big, and you nearly die? Yeah, now, Buggy ate something pineapple sized, just went straight down. So he gets, of course, he gets mad at Shanks, and he starts yelling at him, and Shanks is just confused because he has no idea what's going on. And all he does is he says, hey, that piece of paper is flying off, and of course it's Buggy's map. And Buggy, not thinking, jumps in after the paper, and he goes, and then he stops going, and then he goes down, and he tries to swim, but then he realizes, I can't swim. So he calls for help, and then Shanks goes in and saves him. And so we cut back to present, and then Luffy is like, so the problem is that Shanks saved you. And Buggy's like, no, he stole my treasure, he ruined everything, that sent me back 10 years, you know, so on and so on. And he starts going on a spiel about how he's gonna have all his treasure and nobody's allowed to ever touch it. And you see him rise up, and you think, okay, he's gonna have another go at Luffy. But instead of going after Luffy, you see him rush forward towards Nami, and Nami's like, uh-oh. And she just kind of freezes there. I would move. No, or would I freak out? It's kind of hard to tell what you're gonna do in a dangerous situation until you actually find yourself in a dangerous situation. But I would like to personally believe that I would scream and run. I have high hopes for myself. I pray that when I find myself in danger like that, when a demonic clown is rushing towards me without feet, I move. I have enough sense to move. Or I don't even need sense. My body can just say, you know what, we're not going to listen to your brain. You don't know what you're doing. You're just stalling. We're going to go. So that was One Piece Chapter 19, Fruit. And you learned why Buggy doesn't like Shanks, and you kind of got to see that how they differed. Although, because Shanks was more, you know, I'm gonna go see the world, and Buggy was more, I want treasure. And again, there's not a lot of treasure loving pirates so far, so hopefully they change that, or I want to see treasure obsessed pirates. Also, it's pretty nice to see somebody who actually does know who Buggy is, if only he knows in a flashback. Maybe he forgot all about Buggy, because he does seem kind of like a small time pirate. So now we know why Buggy's so angry, why he's got a chip on his shoulder, why he's so crazy about, or protective of his gold. It's stupid because, you know, everything was his fault, but that's his character. So here's my question for you guys. Anyone on here with stories over things that you know should be forgiven, or whoever's holding the grudge knows should be forgiven, but they just won't let it go? Would love to hear it. Please share those. Also, extra points if it's stupid. Like if it's just so dumb that, you know, it's embarrassing to talk about. So this was LJH7ER, where the last letters are always typos, signing off.